has a higher acid content, and it can make an unstable mixture. 1 part sulfur, flour sulfur, sulfur flour, excuse me, and 1 part charcoal. So it's pretty easy to make, but you need to have the nitrate, and that used to be easy to get, but it's not really anymore.
Hey, I'm Ben Pagel, part of Design Smoke, presented by Spunk Design Machine. And I am here tonight with Steve Rife, a good buddy of mine, but also a sculptor of a different sort. He does a lot of pyrotechnics and creates different images out of flame and with the use of fire in different capacities. So we're going to talk to him briefly. He just got done with something that a nice piece that was basically kind of using an over-the-counter copy of a gunpowder to create an impression on a piece of paper.
Okay.
Steve Rife, man.
Yeah.
Reader.
Question. I didn't really do anything differently, I think, than a lot of other kids growing up, maybe males. Show a particular fascination with fire, but I think it's a human thing. And in high school, I was interested in the arts, and I was also interested in fire, and there was just sort of a hybridization of that. And I knew that I gradually found out that it was possible to get people together as an audience and have a sort of put an artistic gloss on it in order to get permission to do this stuff in public, because before I was just doing it privately, doing my own tests and doing it for friends or selling stuff to friends and not knowing what they were doing with it.
Like what would you be selling, for instance?
Different kinds of incendiaries and sure. You know, the usual M80s or whatever, cherry bombs.
Oh, sure.
But I was not as interested in the explosive effect as other kids and other artists that I came into contact with. I was more interested in stuff that, from a pyrotechnic perspective, from the perspective of someone like the Pyrotechnics Guild or a professional pyrotechnist like someone from the Gucci family who does aerial displays for a living, don't work well. You know, they burn inefficiently, and so they give off a lot of smoke, they smolder, they produce flame as opposed to a flash, and color, producing particular colors was not of great interest to me. Sure. Brightness of the flame or the effect was of some interest, yeah. But what it was doing to materials and the kind of slow burn effect of creating a relationship between the audience and the materials, where they were trying to come up with with some sort of a narrative or a reason for what was happening before them, and I made it as difficult. I still try to make it as difficult as possible for them to make sense of anything outside of the basic physics of what's going on, and even that I'm giving a pretty crude explanation of. I tell them what to expect as far as you know, the physical
visual
aspect
and the artifact, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, of what's going to be left behind, but.
Okay. Well, I got a text message on the blackboard there from a friend, and the message is Alexa is skipping it.
Yikes. Well, so I mean, so like in this form, I mean, are you out to create, you know, a lasting impression or an artifact or something that can be potentially taken to someone's home or hung on a wall or like or left as a sculpture, or do you or is part of the exploration in dealing with the physics and the actual natural elements that are being used, and not necessarily attempting to create a long-lasting effect, more of maybe a temporary visual
thrill or
or effect or visual. I mean,
experience.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's more an attempt to create a kind of an after image, burn in an impression.
Sure.
And the way that people remember a piece, and most of my pieces are very short, is like an explosion. They remember it like something which had shocked them, but on a lower level. When someone is shocked by a loud sound, and they just kind of, there's a natural recoil that happens.
Mm-hmm.
If you have some materials which are burning a little bit slower than explosively,
sure, then
it still makes an impression on people. They still have a kind of a fascination and something of a recoil. So when people bring themselves to an event that I'm doing, if it's successful, what they're experiencing is their own theater. They're bringing their own sense of space.
Yeah. Do you find that like an audience member of a piece that you're doing is almost waiting for that loud clap or snap, or is there more like a transfixion, as many people have, like from a kid in a campfire, where they're actually just like, in trance? I mean, granted, your pieces may be a little bit shorter, but if there is this slow burn before maybe not even a climax, but I mean, if there is this kind of, maybe you draw them in with this slow burn and this trance-like effect that that incendiaries can naturally bring, is that almost like a goal or a point of some of your pieces, and as I suppose they do wait for the hard slap or the I mean,
well, there's an interesting dynamic that happens, and somewhat unfortunate dynamic that happens between expectation and objective. And what you're talking about is what I'm intending to do or give to people, and what people are experiencing as satisfaction or a sense of crisis or whatever. When people see fire in the open like this, what usually happens is they have a sense of danger, and if they don't have that satisfied, and it often is satisfied in entertainment, this is the way that people regard open flame, as something
unprotected open flame too.
Unprotected open flame, something out of the ordinary, that's usually hidden, that's under control. So if it's in sort of an artistic context with which people don't have a firm grasp of, and they're trying to find out as they watch, then if they aren't brought to that place of risk, of fear, then there's a sense of disappointment that's palpable, and people will respond vocally afterwards. Like they'll want to throw stuff on whatever's left that's burning, or ask for more.
Yeah, just ruin it. Put it out, never to be burnt again.
Yeah.
I can certainly see what that is. I mean, there is a risk factor, and this almost forbidden. I mean, a forbidden aspect of fire, or working with fire. I imagine that a lot of your audience would want to interact with. I mean, it is the fear. I mean, it is the fear that potentially would be the attraction. So.
And then fear involves imagination.
Of course. And whatever the recess of their mind present to them. I mean, I'm fear. We say this vaguely, in that the fact that who knows what it could trigger. A house going up to to pain, to actually skin boiling. There's a million different things which are probably undefinable.
And there's lots of examples in the books of people burning enemies' possessions, or the homes of their lover, or whether there's a situation up in northern Minnesota not too long ago about a fireman who tried to win back his girlfriend who jilted him by setting her apartment building on fire and then going to put it out. There's lots of strange power play with fire.
Yeah.